now. Like what's going on? Did you see what's going on? Obviously, you've seen what's going on in California. But the governor gave this creepy fucking speech where he was talking about speculators coming in and talking about what to do with the land.
What I saw, what it looked to me like he was negotiating with a deaf prostitute.
Just when you thought politics couldn't get any messier, things took a sharp turn. Joe Rogan and Tyrus put Gavin Newsom on the spot, and it got heated fast. This was definitely not your average sleepy press moment. Think long, awkward pauses, unexpected one-liners, and Newsom looking like he's sweating it out under bright lights. So did he keep his cool and play it smart, or did it all start to unravel live on camera? Stick around, because what happens next might make you rethink everything you thought you knew about California politics. And don't go anywhere. Watch till the end.
One of the craziest things that California's passed, where you're not allowed to show ID when you vote.
I was just on the line because the DOJ is being sent out to California to monitor our election. They have no business, no jurisdiction to monitor it.
You're essentially saying, you're encouraging fraud.
It says, oh, there's a problem. This is what we saw this in New York when he put, what's his name, that Blasio, the guy you really hate?
Bill de Blasio.
He put his wife in charge of the homeless, and there's $50 million still missing?
Yeah.
So this is another one of the left's money schemes where the guy who's in charge is saying, we need help, we need to figure out a way to do this. So they're going to make a committee. They already have bubonic plague in California. I remember Dr. Drew was going, there's bubonic plague back in...
Before we keep going, hit that like button and subscribe because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Gavin Newsom walked into that room thinking it would be just another standard conversation, maybe a couple of easy questions, maybe a quick nod for making it through yet another week in California politics. What he didn't realize was that Joe Rogan and Tyrus had something very different in mind. From the moment the cameras started rolling, the tension was thick, like a 3-layer cake melting in the heat. And that confident little smile on Gavin's face, yeah, it was already starting to fade.
Burnt down. While it's still only 6% contained, and he did this little dance, like, I've been talking with these, with the governor of Hawaii about what to do. We've got some ideas, especially we're gonna have some meetings. Like, he's doing
Really?
this. Oh, show it to him, Jamie. It's so creepy because it's happening while these people are. Their houses have been burned, all their childhood memorabilia, all the stuff for their kids, the photos, the fucking everything they have is gone. All heirlooms, their mother's wedding ring, that kind of shit. Everything's burnt to the ground.
It all started off pretty harmless. The kind of talk most politicians feel totally comfortable with. You know the routine. Prepared answers, talking up achievements, future plans, and some feel-good lines about the state, the economy, maybe even a quick shout out to the environment. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then Rogan leaned forward. That familiar mix of laid-back curiosity with just a hint of pressure. And just like that, Gavin's comfort zone disappeared, melting away faster than a snow cone on a hot July day.
And watch the tape.
Yes!
He literally goes, I want some of this, then you do some of this, and I'll do some of that back to you, and then we'll do this, and then I'll pay you, and then we'll do it again.
True.
And then she kept saying, no. Okay, how about this? You do this one first, then we do this one, then we give a little back and forth.
Tyrus was standing there like a friendly but intimidating giant, barely saying a word at first. Honestly, his presence alone was enough to make anyone rethink a few life decisions. And when he finally did start asking questions, it felt like tossing a live grenade into a fish tank. Total chaos. Questions flying everywhere, but somehow, you just couldn't look away.
It's insane that it passed. It's insane that it's legal.
I don't for a second trust him. And forgive me if you think that's hyperbolic or I'm going all Alex Jones on you. I remember something called January 6th.
It's insane that they could say that with a straight face and have any sort of a weird gaslighty answer as to why that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
You have the highest unemployment.
Yeah.
You have the highest homelessness.
Look what they did with Hollywood.
Money's missing. You killed Hollywood. Like, Hollywood doesn't exist anymore. It's literally gone.
That was such an easy one.
mandated vaccines for kids that didn't need them. You guys, you did.
The first hit wasn't even a real question. It was more like a casual comment wrapped in curiosity. And you could almost see Newsom's mind kick into overdrive, flipping and twisting, trying to dodge the moment and land on something that sounded safe. But Rogan doesn't play it safe. Tyrus definitely doesn't play it safe. And just like that, what Gavin thought would be a calm, polite talk about policy turned into a nonstop run of sharp, ironic, and at times brutally honest scrutiny.
Speaking of full of I'm sorry, I'm confused. He's still governor, right?
Yes.
So he could do something about it. That's the most irritating thing, is like, why did anyone say with a follow-up where he's like, the homeless situation is ridiculous? Follow-up question, aren't you governor?
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. That's the difference between the radical left and President Trump. He'll talk about something as it's being taken care of.
One of the early moments had everyone leaning forward in their seats. It kicked off with a question about California's spending, the kind of broad, fuzzy topic politicians usually love, because it leads to long, winding answers no one really remembers. But Rogan and Tyrus aren't your typical interviewers. And that's when things got interesting. There was a pause, a long, heavy pause, the kind that makes your stomach tighten because you know something's coming. Rogan tilted his head, Tyrus folded his arms, and you could almost see Gavin's carefully crafted persona start to shrink. It was happening in real time. That quiet shift from confident leader to someone suddenly realizing he might be in deeper than he expected. The next question wasn't even polite. It was borderline ridiculous, in the best possible way. And it hit Gavin somewhere he wasn't ready for, the human side. All of a sudden, he wasn't defending policies anymore. He was defending himself. And not with the usual hand-waving politician moves. This was different. This was a real moment of vulnerability, wrapped in irony so thick you could spread it on toast.
This guy's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plans.
Watch this. Play this. And give me.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
With a big smile on his face. Look at the little wiggle he does with his shoulders. Speculator, watch this. Talking to Josh. Look at this. Look at this little wiggle. It's excited about the possibilities of speculators coming in. And he's saying
He went straight for the usual move. Charm. That classic California governor smile. Smooth and polished. Meant to calm the room, disarm the moment, and gently steer things away. But Rogan and Tyrus weren't buying it. The charm slid right off them like rain on a windshield. The questions kept coming, some subtle, others so blunt it was uncomfortable just to watch. And the irony was ruthless. The harder Gavin tried to redirect, the brighter the spotlight got, exposing contradictions, inconsistencies, and those painfully awkward moments that campaign ads love to replay for years. Then the tension really kicked up. The kind that makes you imagine dramatic movie music swelling in the background. Rogan leaned in, voice relaxed but sharp, like someone casually mentioning a lost bet while already playing how to win it back 10 times over. Tyrus stayed quiet, watching, measuring, waiting for that tiny slip, that small mistake that says way more than intended. And sure enough, the cracks started to show. One of the moments that later went viral didn't even seem dramatic at first. Gavin started explaining a program. Something about housing or tech innovation. You know, the usual California buzzwords.
You can't, it's not his words when he speaks.
Yeah.
You have to watch him closely. And some genius decided not to film him any lower than the shoulder.
Yes. Did you? Yes.
So what did he do?
You couldn't see the hands.
No, but he sent Morse code.
Yes.
Go back and watch it. Look at the blinking. Blink, look. Meet me at the house. Like, he's blinking. He's sending, I'm getting there. Hey, just so you know, I'm not wearing pants.
But Rogan jumped in with a simple, brutally honest comment that stripped the explanation down to something almost ridiculous. Then Tyrus followed up with a sharp question that made you wonder if Gavin had ever really thought about the issue beyond talking points and press releases. And that's when it happened. Gavin stumbled, just slightly, a tiny slip in how he phrased things. But in the setup Rogan and Tyrus had created, it was like stepping into quicksand wearing dress shoes. What came next was pure comedy, in that painfully funny, political kind of way. Gavin tried to recover, backpedaling, reframing, twisting the narrative, and pulling off mental gymnastics that would impress a Cirque du Soleil performer. He blinked. You could almost hear the gears grinding in his head. Was this a trap? Was there a way out without looking bad? Rogan gave nothing away, which somehow made it worse. And Tyrus was just there, steady, silent, a constant reminder that there was nowhere to hide. The irony was perfect. Here stood the governor of the most talked about state in America, a man used to owning the room, managing crises, and dodging media traps like a veteran. And suddenly, he was caught mid-thought, mid-sentence, mid-everything. The audience was hooked. Half of them cringed, half of them laughed, and all of them leaned in, because once it started, you just couldn't look away.
They don't have any faith in Gavin Newsom.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of funny because he wants to be president so bad.
That's true what it looks like.
You can't ruin a city and then go on to ruin a state and say, guys, that was just practice.
I know.
Once I get it as a president, I'm going to fix it. Fix it all.
I mean, it's so crazy, but he's such a great politician. I mean,
No, he's
so
not.
smooth.
He's
Oh,
not,
you don't think
though.
so?
No, I think he's terrible.
How's
It's
he
just-
remained
it's
in
'cause
power
he
for
has
so long?
Low competition. There's no one who's
there's
good
that.
is competing against him.
I
There's
guess
no
there-
sincerity.
I should say he's not a good. I should say he's smooth. He comes.
I
across
mean,
pretty
he's a
smooth.
good bullshit artist.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But it's like what the things that he says when he gets confronted with we're the highest this and the highest that. Like,
Yeah.
like everybody's leaving.
And just when it seemed like things might finally settle down, they didn't. Rogan and Tyrus kept pushing, with that quiet persistence that makes most political debates look amateur by comparison. Gavin tried to pivot, steering towards something safer. Climate, infrastructure, maybe even a subtle flex about a recent win or award. But Rogan's follow-up was precise and unforgiving. It dragged Gavin right back to the original point, exposing inconsistencies with a casual wink and nod accuracy that left everyone watching stunned. At one point, Gavin went for the classic humor escape, the kind meant to create a viral moment. One quick line, one reaction, one tiny expression the camera never misses. His face froze, caught somewhere between forced calm and internal panic. Tyrus raised an eyebrow. Rogan tilted his head. And before Gavin could even blink, the internet was already on fire. Memes, clips, reaction videos, everywhere. California politics had never felt this dramatic, this painfully entertaining, or this undeniably human.
Look, he's blinking, and then eventually the camera guy, realizing that he's signaling him, so he gets appalled, leans back, camera comes down, and then we're back to this. I'll do this for you, you do this for me a little. So he's saying whatever he's going to say. There it is, see? They couldn't hold him back. He's like, I'm not on film. Oh, I'm not, nope. Bring my hands up, bring him up, bring him up, bring him up, bring him up. He's playing with us. Meet me at my house. You get mine. I get yours. It'll work out.
What makes this moment legendary isn't just the slip-ups or the uncomfortable silences. It's the contrast. On one side, you have a polished, carefully trained political figure who's always on alert. On the other, two people talking like they're just having a casual coffee conversation. Except the coffee comes with truth bombs. Every question, every pause, every look becomes a test. Authenticity versus preparation, real talk versus spin, and pressure in the moment versus a rehearsed defense. And the irony just keeps piling up. Gavin walked in thinking he was in control, carefully managing the room and staying composed. But every movement gave him away. You could tell he knew he was being boxed in by two of the sharpest conversational predators out there. At one point, the discussion shifted to accountability. Not the vague buzzword version politicians love, but the human kind. The kind of questions that force you to examine not just your policies, but your reasoning, your choices, and your actions. Gavin hesitated. He stumbled. He tried a few narrative pivots, but Rogan and Tyrus weren't looking for stories. They wanted clarity, consistency, and a glimpse of the human behind the political machine.
Xi Jinping came to San Francisco. They completely cleaned up the streets.
Folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true because it's true.
It's true because it's true.
Gavin Newsom famously said that when visitors come to your house, you clean up. Like, okay.
Why is it you were able to clean it up for Xi Jinping, but you can't clean it up?
Guys. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. You guys weaponized that. I saw that on 25 things.
How about keep your house
Yeah,
clean?
like-
You got to
yeah.
remove the from the inside of your living room. How about don't in your living room? How about when people in your living room, don't invite them back? How about that? How about figure out a way to not have in your living room? They cleaned it up for Xi Jinping.
The room turned into a masterclass in quiet pressure. Every pause, every smile, every small shift in posture felt magnified. Gavin's confidence started to look like a house of cards, where even the slightest nudge could bring it down. And Rogan and Tyrus didn't force it. They didn't need to. They simply held their ground, let the cracks spread on their own, and allowed Gavin's own contradictions to do the work. By the end, it wasn't about who won or who lost. It was about the spectacle. Analysts picked apart the body language. Memes popped up that probably won't disappear for years. Gavin Newsom became a case study in how even the most polished political figure can be humanized and hilariously exposed when the right people apply just enough pressure. In the end, Joe Rogan and Tyrus didn't just put Gavin on the spot. They turned an ordinary political conversation into an unforgettable, laugh-out-loud moment. And for the audience, it was a lesson in irony, timing, and watching a politician squirm while still trying to keep it together. Every question, every pause, every raised eyebrow was a reminder that sometimes real life is far more entertaining than anything scripted.
Fans are just weird, though, Tyrus. They're always doing funky things.
Yeah, I thought it had something to do with the California budget cuts and stuff, since they didn't have a hearing impaired transitioner anymore. I'm not paying money for that. I'll do it myself. So, you know.
A little bit of bubble.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you were the sign person for the TV going?
No, he was.
And somewhere along the way in California, somewhere between budget talks and tech buzzwords, Gavin probably learned a tough lesson. Never underestimate people who don't rely on cue cards. And never, ever underestimate the power of timing, wit, and presence. Because Rogan and Tyrus didn't just point out inconsistencies, they revealed humanity. And in the process, they gave the world a moment that will be replayed, laughed at, and picked apart for years. The room may have gone quiet, but the Aftershocks didn't. They spread everywhere, online, in living rooms, in offices, and into the catalog of unforgettable political moments. And as the clips keep circulating, reactions pile up, and commentary explodes, one thing is clear. Joe Rogan and Tyrus didn't just ask questions. They created a moment people won't forget. Gavin Newsom didn't just answer them, he endured them. Barely. All under the weight of sharp timing, quick wit, and the kind of observation that exposes truth in its most ironic and funniest form.
What Donald Trump should do is, when he leaves the office, run for governor of California. And just take over California and fix it. It would be hilarious if he did. It would be one of the funniest things of all time if an 82-year-old man steps into the office of governor of California. We're going to fix everything. You've got a problem with water. I know how to get the water.
But just when it felt like the show was winding down, the follow-up questions landed like a double espresso, sharp, energizing, and impossible to ignore. Rogan leaned in again, relaxed as always, but every word carried the weight of a truth bomb. Tyrus didn't even need to speak this time. A small nod here, a quiet smirk there, more than enough to make anyone rethink their choices. Gavin tried to hold it together, but the cracks were no longer subtle. They were turning into full-blown fractures. Every carefully rehearsed line started falling apart under that non-stop curiosity. What you were watching wasn't a performance anymore. It was a human being grappling with reality under the harshest spotlight imaginable. And here's the funny part. The harder Gavin tried to stay in control, the worse it worked. Every attempt to pivot to safer ground just pulled him right back in. Rogan and Tyrus circled like they already knew the ending. It felt like a chess match with no formal rules, except be honest, be clear, and never underestimate the audience. And Newsom? He was playing blindfolded. Every answer opened the door to another question, and every pause invited a new round of scrutiny. Precise enough to feel almost surgical.
But his hand gestures matched the words coming out of his mouth.
Right.
Yes,
If the president was like, "We want peace in the Middle East," you know what I'm saying? He would be like,
Right,
and like,
It's
Gavin, his hands are aggressive. You know.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of theories. One, it was a bad negotiation with a deaf hooker. You know, now he doesn't want to pay for, you know.
Do you have a problem with deaf hookers?
He does, because the deal went south.
It's called the Helen Kellen special.
By the final stretch, Gavin's charm routine had pretty much disappeared. That smooth, carefully rehearsed governor persona gave way to something far more human, a mix of confusion, tension, and just a hint of desperation. It was entertaining, sure, but also oddly relatable, watching someone so powerful on paper struggle with questions that seem simple on the surface. And for the audience, that's where the magic happens. You're laughing, you're stunned, and you can't look away because it feels real, unscripted, completely unpredictable. By the end, one thing was crystal clear. In the world of political theater, being human and getting hilariously exposed can be far more memorable than any polished speech. And for Newsom, this explosive moment wouldn't live on in press releases or policy papers, but in the shared memory of an audience that just can't stop watching, laughing, and hitting share.